Welcome to NewsX. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 across all our social media handles. We are joining you on TV. It's a brand new week, and coming up within the next 60 minutes, Parliament dissolves today to make way for Ghana's 9th Parliament in the 4th Republic. We'll take you live to Parliament to engage the minority and the majority as we hear the expectations for the 9th Parliament. Also, President-elect John Mahama has implored NDC MPs to nominate and maintain the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, for another term. We'll do some analysis on that, and we'll take you to Cantal Market, where traders are already rebuilding their stalls. My name is Faustina Safo. We have details of this and more here on NewsX. Take a seat to be my guest. Thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless, incredible journalism. Now we start with traders at Cantal Market because they are rebuilding their stores barely a week after fire brought their structures to the ground. More than 100 makeshift structures were burned, with traders losing thousands of Ghana cedis worth of their goods. Now let's get the latest from my colleague Collins Frimpong, who has been following the incident since it happened. He joins us live with more. Collins, what can you report?
Some of the traders have begun rebuilding, as we reported earlier on. So you can see the structures already being erected over there, and some people have already started selling. They've commenced selling. They are selling over here, and we'll be speaking to some of the traders to see how market is going. We will speak to them how trading is going this morning, and also we'll be speaking to the Traders Association chairman for Cantal Market, Mr. Samuel Amoa. Earlier on, the Bese chief or the Bese stool have also raised concerns about the ownership of the land. So you will be speaking to him to find out if to sort for their opinion on that, their reaction on that. So that's what we will be doing this morning. Daddy, good morning, Mr. Samuel. Yeah. Good to have you again. Thank you. First of all, before I even ask you about business to raising concerns about the ownership of the land and also saying that they won't allow the traders to come back to build their structures, how is it going so far for traders here?
Today, the traders are not happy with that news that is coming out. So the leadership will meet the basic two people today. But what I know for sure that there is an agreement, there is a lease for over 50 years. We did not come here from a vacuum. This land was given to Ghana Ruiz, and I'm sure they represent the government for that matter. So if anything, I'm sure when you go to the chief's house and apologize for not even coming there, maybe the government will take it over. Well, I expect the government to take over from them. Yes, I know they are landowners, but everyone also know that every land in this country is versus the interest of government. They can take their land. You have to give them respect. I respect them. We want to cooperate with them, but we are hoping for the better. That's all.
So you are not, the traders are not ready to leave the place. They are not ready to leave here.
The traders are not ready to leave the place. That's why it's sure, unless there's a proper arrangement for the traders. See. The only sad thing that is I am at this time, I do not expect the basis to have even used that speech. But look at what have happened to us here. We need their comfort. Some of them have come here to talk to us peacefully. So at this appropriate time, that is why I'm sad. That at this appropriate time, that is they are using that warning. Even though there is a right, they should have did it with the human face. So no, these people have suffered. Look at here. So let us give them time, call them, sit down with them. That is what's worried.
Maybe They are coming in at this time and also with that particular point of view because they've seen that the traders have begun raising structures instead of allowing the landowners and government to come in to build the structures. Isn't also a factor? Maybe they are trying to protect their land. They
are the landowners, but they don't have that because the city authorities here. Thank God, the President Mahama sent Nilan and 4 other MPs to pay a visit. The ABP also have been here, the General Secretary and Chairman. So when we see us doing this thing, nobody have, they should have said, okay, we are not going to allow you, or they should say, talk to the people. But to accuse us is very sad. It is their right. We go there, we go there, apologize, and so that we can find the way forward. Yes.
So we are going to apologize for the reconstruction that have begun.
Not necessarily the construction. Maybe we have stepped on a big store that we didn't know. You go there and talk.
And all right. So far, how is it going? How is trading going? The arrangements over here, has any support come into the traders?
The support that have been given to us is good. For instance, Cheddar or what? Cheddar came here and gave us 50,000. Yes, and they, for instance, when Dishe, a top position, also was here and give us 10,000. I've also heard, and it's been rumored that somebody came out here and give 100,000 gifts. It is within some people. I have the videos here. The police commander was here. That the people reported and said, yes, I've also heard, and I showed him the video that yes, somebody have said the people taking the money. So to me, so far, what is I can say is somebody have also given 100,000 because you see the video that they were holding the cash, and it was 200 cities notes, and that was 501 billion, and that is so far as personal as I know that's the help that I come. We also heard that that some people were coming to help us, and one of the sad thing is people should not believe in rumors. For instance, that's why I'm giving you this. We have not seen anything. Maybe they have talked to people. Maybe they are coming, and I know the people that they are mentioning their names are capable of helping us. But that's why I started life here. And I know he will be capable to help us.
So those that you know of, did the money come to you?
Come again.
Those that you know of, especially that of Cheddar, Wendishe, those monies come to you?
I was following Cheddar to a point, and I talked to him one-on-one, and he said he will have some domination to give to the market, so he want to know the leadership of the market. And I asked him, oh, they are here, so I'm a party here. We went there and sat down there. Before we realized, some leaders, the chairman of the youth club, have also taken the money.
Chairman of which association?
The youth club that is here. They have taken the 50,000. Honestly, he came to meet us, and he have also handed the money to the importers. They came to us there and said, okay, we've taken the money. Even though it's not the best way, but I didn't complain. We didn't complain because we trust them. What they themselves have made out that they are also going to help us, so there was no need to fight. That's so.
So now the structures that we see here and everything that we have seen here, they are all done by the traders themselves and not from any donation from anyone?
No. We know that we have been told that there's donation come. And there's so much pressure on us that we have to start something before something happens. So we very fortunate we have some people, and they help us to, from Moose. There are some people here who knows them, and they have helped us, give us on credit. So we are hoping that those who have promised will keep their promise. That's all.
Thank you. So that's the...
Thank you, Collins, for bringing us that update. Now, the Member of Parliament-elect for Abuakwa South, Dr. Kinsley Amankwah, is asking government to immediately halt the trader-led reconstruction of the Cantal Market clothing market. Let's listen to him because he insists that the reconstruction must be led by government to ensure that proper safety standards are adhered to.
We can't continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. The reconstruction of the market must be done by the government with pre-engineered or well-engineered structure, because we can't continue to reconstruct this market the same things that give up the fire. In as much as it's a very difficult thing and I sympathize with them, the government must take the reconstruction, properly engineered pathways, proper wiring, anything that will make good for a very good market. Act 1061, Section 218 of the Insurance Act of 2021 is very clear that commercial buildings or commercial places must be insured against fire, public liability, storms, and stuff like that, so that we can enforce, government will enforce for the purchase of insurance. Because the way they are constructing, like the previous ones, are all insurable. You can't insure Cantal Market with these construction materials. So our risk exposure is very high. And we must get it that it is a business they are running. They are not charities. If you are doing business, insurance is a very legitimate cost line or cost item. Insurance is not expensive, especially some of these commercial buildings or commercial insurances that are backed by law, that is compulsory, that everybody undertakes. I think the rate is between 0.15% and 0.2%. For ease of calculation, if a value is let's say 1 million Ghana cedis, you use a higher one, which is 0.2%. The premium that is payable annually is just 2,000 cedis.
Well, away from Kantamanto, it's a good time to take you to Parliament now, because in a few hours, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, will dissolve the 8th Parliament, giving birth to the next one, the 9th Parliament. President-elect John Mahama, we know, has asked the NDC caucus in Parliament to nominate Alban Bagbin for another term. On your screens now are extracts of that statement, and it reads, "The President-elect, His Excellency John Mahama, has, in consultation with the National Executive and Parliamentary leadership of the National Democratic Congress, mandated the nomination of the Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbin as Speaker of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic." He goes on to say that Bagbin has distinguished himself in service of Parliament, rising from the Member of Parliament for Nadoli in minority and majority leader respectively, and subsequently as Speaker of the 8th Parliament. He goes on to say he brings a wealth of experience to the position, which will provide and prove vital in steering the affairs of Parliament at this critical period in Ghana's democratic and legislative development. The President-elect is convinced that under the stewardship of Bagbin, Ghana's Parliament will be further strengthened to deliver effectively on its oversight responsibility. Well, that's a statement from President-elect John Mahama recommending that Alban Bagbin would remain Speaker in the 9th Parliament. But Alban Bagbin has accepted this offer, and he also thanked the President-elect for the gesture. On your screens now is also that statement from Bagbin. He says, "I extend my profound gratitude to the President-elect, His Excellency John Mahama, for the honor and trust he has, in consultation with the national executives and parliamentary leadership of the National Democratic Congress, placed in me by the decision that I be nominated to be elected as the Speaker of the 9th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. This is both a profound privilege and an onerous responsibility, a responsibility that I do not take lightly. I am deeply humbled by His Excellency's confidence in my ability to lead the August House as we begin a new chapter in our nation's democratic journey." Well, there's been mixed reactions to the President's decision to nominate Alban Bagbin. My colleague MFR Powell on the probe spoke to the Deputy Speaker, Joseph Osei-Owusu, And she also spoke to spokesperson for John Mahama's transition team, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye. Now, they expressed different opinions as to the nomination. While Jose Owusu is against it, Felix actually applauds it. Let's listen to that.
If you read the statement put out by Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, it's suggesting that Parliament is an appendix of the executive, the president in consultation with. It suggests that the president who is taking the decision. Parliament is an arm of government. The president may influence who leads Parliament, but he should not make it appear as if it's the president who is deciding who, and he is consulting with others. I think that communication was inappropriate. It shouldn't be presented as if it is the president who is choosing the speaker and is consulting with other people. No. Eventually, it is Parliament that will endorse whoever is nominated, but we should just leave the nomination, we should leave the president out of the nomination because it gives the wrong impression about Parliament as an independent arm of government.
Ultimately, it is the people who we serve who will determine whether or not they are satisfied with the performance. So the criticism in itself is not a problem, but as I have been at pains all night to stress, if a president comes to power and is able to appoint a critic to lead or is able to recommend the appointment or election of a critic to lead an important arm of government like Parliament, it should gladden our heart.
How many more critics are we hoping that the president will be appointing?
President Mahama will make
as we are making progress.
President Mahama will make merit-based appointments.
Okay.
As and when he deems you fit to occupy a particular position, he will let you occupy that position, regardless of what you may feel about him or what he feels about you. I don't think that we should have a difficulty with the president. Like, indeed, contrast him with the posturing of President Akufo-Addo, and you see that he's a far better person to lead this country. And I'm not surprised that the people of Ghana gave him the sort of mandate that they've given him. It simply means that they have assessed this performance, compared it to what we have now, and realized that he's a far superior person in terms of his ability to govern in a manner that achieves consensus on the important matters, in a manner that recognizes that we may have different views, we may have different opinions. But if he recognizes that in spite of the opinions you have about him, you merit a certain position, he will give it to you. I think it is an important step forward in our democratic development. And right after January 7th, there's going to be a void. Now, President Mahama cannot make substantive appointments in certain positions. For instance, you need the Minister of Interior to helm the Department of Government that is in charge of internal security. You need a Defense Minister to look after military affairs. You need a National Security Minister, for instance, to coordinate matters relating to security. But these are substantive appointments that need to go through a process. You cannot achieve all that in one day. But on the day that he is inaugurated as president, the current office holders, by virtue of their membership of the previous government, would have their mandates expire.
Yes.
You heard the Felix Kwakye Ofosu. He is spokesperson for President-elect John Mahama's transition team. Now let's delve into this as we look at the life of the 8th Parliament and what we should expect in the 9th Parliament. A lot of new faces we know would be in the 9th Parliament, and we'll get into the dynamics here on Newsdesk. Now, in the studio with me is Clement Alo. He's Communications Director for Parliamentary Network Africa. Thank you so much for your time here on Newsdesk.
Thank you very much.
Also, on Zoom, I have Franklin Kujo. He's President, Imani Africa. I also have Dr. Kwesi Amankwah. He's a political scientist. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here on Newsdesk.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let me start from Franklin. You've been around for a while. I want you to start with your assessment of the performance of the 8th Parliament.
Well, good morning to my colleagues on the line as well. I think by and large, this 8th Parliament would be remembered, maybe not for the expectations that we wanted to, I feel like, achieve, but more so for the assertiveness of its speaker in trying to basically bring some respect to Parliament. I mean, the fact that he held his own when it came to very crucial matters, almost always at the almost crossing heads with the executive, right? And so for me, I think while we expected the hand parliament to more or less probably deliver, I mean, critical assessments of government business and what have you, I think by and large, for me, a lot of what happened was expected. I think the Secretary still had its way, with the exception of a few issues. Clearly, the Secretary had its way. I think, though, that the crucial element of bringing some dignity to Parliament, as the Speaker asserting his role in a very cavalier manner, but actually quite also in a very of course he made sure everything he did was according to law. But he held his own. He was stern, probably sterner on the NDC than even more than the NPP. And so for me, I think he's the leading light of this Parliament that is outgoing.
Now, let me bring in Dr. Machi Boateng, because for many individuals on the majority side of the 8th Parliament, they felt that because of the nature of this Parliament, being a hung Parliament, it frustrated government business. Having monitored the space, what's your assessment of the 8th Parliament's performance?
Well, once again, thanks for having me, and let me say good morning to my colleagues. On this program. The 8th Parliament actually did its best, although at the end of the day, given that the overall economy of Ghana is nothing to write home about, then you can't leave the Parliament out. It did play its role in bringing us where we are, actually. But you realize that any decision that they felt like taking, issues that were brought to the Parliament by the executive, did go through as much as possible. They managed to get the numbers to take the decisions that they wanted to take. Essentially, Parliament takes, those decisions, and then the executive goes ahead to work with them. So if the 8th Parliament did what they did, and at the end of the day, Ghanaians are not satisfied with it, we can't clap for them, in that respect. So the 8th Parliament actually is also going to go down in history as, if you like, having been in place at the time that Ghana's economy registered an all-time low record.
Now let's look at the issues that came up just before Parliament resumed. The whole back and forth between the judiciary, Parliament sitting, the Speaker adjourning the House indefinitely. Now, having seen that the President-elect, John Mahama, is looking forward to ensuring that Bagbin remains Speaker, what then should we expect with this whole back and forth as to who is leading the House and the authority of the third man?
I'd like to believe that some of the considerations that might have been, simply led to this endorsement of, the current Speaker by the President-elect, might be one of the things that my brother talked about, his assertiveness, his readiness to ensure that parliaments remain as it is, a third arm of government independent of the two arms. So now I think that is something we cannot overlook. So going forward, I'd like to believe that this is something that is desirable, and Ghana should actually, if you like, support the Speaker to achieve. In the absence of that, the whole idea of checks and balances, the moment they break down, then governance begins to suffer. Because if any of the arms of government realizes that they have got their free way, they can push through anything at all that they want to push through. The system will be in jeopardy. So this need for Parliament to be able to hold its own against the other arms of government is something desirable and something we want to support.
Doc, stay with me. Let me come in studio and speak to Clement. Clement, I want to get your assessment of the performance of the parliamentarians in the 8th Parliament. And I just want to get your thoughts about the whole back and forth about the hung parliament and how it was effective or ineffective in terms of achieving government business.
All right, thank you very much. I think that the 8th Parliament, we at Parliamentary Network Africa, we have been watching the space, and we think that the 8th Parliament is actually a blessing in disguise. And we think that they have performed creditably to actually raise the standards of Parliament. Because hitherto, we got the notion that Parliament was rubber stamp, toothless bulldog, all kinds of names were given to Parliament. But this time, they actually stood up for what they are supposed to be. And we think that the 8th Parliament was also a point where our eyes were open to what Parliament can do to ensure that good governance is given to the people. On the side of the government of the day, they would say that it kind of stifled their work in Parliament. But on the side of the people, which we lean towards more as civil society organization, we think that it actually inured to the benefit of the general people, because the government didn't get the opportunity to push through anything at all they wanted to push through. And as the good professor was talking about, he said that the government managed to push through some of its things anyway, but it wasn't a walk through the park. It was before government brought its policies, it would have to think through them for some time before it went through. And we think that that is what parliaments are supposed to do. They are supposed to oversight the executive, not that they are supposed to thwart their efforts, but to oversight them and ensure that whatever they bring gets the input of the parliamentarians. And when they get an overwhelming majority, it becomes difficult for them to listen to the minority side, where most of the time the minority does a lot of business for the people. You see, because the members of parliament who belong to the government side are not really bothered about some of the things that the ordinary people are interested in. So this particular parliament gave the opportunity to the ordinary people through the minority spokespersons. And because of the closeness of the numbers, it became some kind of tension in the House, which a lot of Ghanaians were not used to. Even the political parties were not used to that. So it became kind of a tension for all of us, and a lot of people are crying about it. But if you look at it very well, you realize that the 8th Parliament has actually brought in something good. And our political parties and leaders must be learning, because they now know that there's a possibility that we can even have a government with a minority in Parliament. So in that case, what are we going to do? So this is just a test case for us for the future, where it is a possibility that we'll have a minority government. How are we going to deal with that? Then the political parties must now be thinking about the quality of the leadership. How do you build consensus with the minority and all that? And
I'll come back to you, because, gentlemen, we'll be looking at the 9th Parliament. We're going to be seeing lots of new faces, lots of individuals who are exiting the 8th Parliament will not be in the 9th Parliament. We'll get into the dynamics, but it's a good time to take you to Parliament. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us live as the 8th Parliament comes to an end in a matter of hours. Kweku, what can you report?
Still, as we speak, the chamber is literally empty. I've only seen Honorable Haruna Idrisu, who is seated in his chair, and we expect that it could take the next hour or two before members of parliament will come in together with the Speaker of Parliament for the 9th Parliament, the 8th Parliament, I should say, to be dissolved. There is not much that we expect to happen. There's not much on the agenda. There are no outstanding bills to consider. There is one little matter of the Parliament bill. I doubt it to be taken. Perhaps it will be handed over to the 9th Parliament to start the process. But so what we expect to happen is there will be speeches from the minority and majority leaders. There will be the Speaker of Parliament himself who will also make a speech. to actually discuss what they believe their achievement, their successes of the 8th Parliament has been prior to its dissolution. And so there will be a little business, there will be a little ceremony to properly so-called dissolve the 8th Parliament. And then this Parliament will be shut down. Because as you can see behind me, there are 138 seats on the other side, there's 137 here. But in the next Parliament, that is not going to be the case. At the other side, there will be 183, at least for now, of NDC MPs, and then there will be 88 here. If our counting is anything to go by, the NDC will take over 1, 2, 3. This all will be NDC in Parliament because of the very big majority they have with the MPP, the next minority for the 9th Parliament, taking just this side. And so the leadership will have to do the arrangements in a way that is going to allow the Parliament of Ghana do its work. So what we understand is that these two pews perhaps will be brought together with the MPP side taking this side. And so we'll see a completely different arrangement from what we've seen in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or 5th, or even this Parliament because of the sheer magnitude of the NDC's victory in the last election. And so we'll get to see that kind of arrangement, I'm sure, between 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 when these arrangements will be done. And then ultimately, the Chamber of Parliament will be reopened around 8, as we understand, for the members of Parliament elect to start coming in. When they do come in, they will also take their seat. Ultimately, the 9th Parliament will then be sworn in at the stroke of midnight. That will be before the election of the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. As we understand now, the NDC clear in their mind that Bagbin will be the next Speaker of Parliament for the 9th Parliament. We have no indication if the NPP will actually nominate anybody. Let me take you back in history. In 2000, the Speaker of Parliament was the Right Honourable Peter Lajeti. In 2004, after the election, the NPP decided to bring a new Speaker in the person of Right Honourable Bejina Sechi Hughes. The NDC decided to then nominate the outgoing Speaker, Peter Lajeti, who was an NPP member. He lost, and then Bejina Sechi Hughes won. In 2021, NDC nominated Bagbin against Okwe, and because of the closeness of the numbers, the NDC were able to get Bagbin elected. But MPP have only 188. They will need over 50, 60 NDC MPs to cross-carpet, not cross-carpet literally, but to defy their party's whip and join them in a secret ballot before they can elect anybody. And so we don't expect that to happen. But we cannot write anything off because as we speak, we haven't had any indication if the NPP side will be nominating anybody to challenge Alban Bagbin for the speakership. If no one comes forward, Alban Bagbin will be deemed elected by the clerk to Parliament. And then at the stroke of midnight, the Chief Justice Gertrude Tokono will come here, swear in Alban Bagbin, and Alban Bagbin will in turn swear in the members of Parliament. Last 4 years was chaotic, I was here. But this time around, we don't expect that to happen, except that Alban Bagbin had threatened a little over a week ago that certain persons who were elected or deemed members of Parliament elect by virtue of recollation of results and all that will not be sworn in by him. We have no indication if he will be carrying out that threat. Of course, we've heard from lawyers who have said that Alban Bagbin simply does not have the power to do that. And once the Electoral Commission gathers the results, he is obliged to actually swear in those persons. But we can't say anything for sure, and we'll get to see at midnight today whether Alban Bagbin will swear in these persons or will put up a fight. All that we'll get to see. So, Faustina, all is set for the 8th Parliament to be dissolved, and given the low attendance, we expect that this will travel beyond midday, perhaps 12 or 1 or 2, before members of Parliament will come in properly for that ceremony to happen, for the 8th Parliament to be dissolved. And then those who have lost, either because they lost their party's primaries or they lost the general election or did not seek to be re-elected, will go out there and pack from their offices in the Job 600, get away from Parliament, and then at midnight, the new Parliament will be sworn in, the offices will be shared, and the indication. As of now, we have an indication of who the likely Speaker of Parliament will be. We have an indication of who will lead the NPP caucus, but getting close to midday, we have absolutely no idea who will be leading the NDC majority. And a lot of names have been thrown around. Haruna Idrisu, Mahama Yarga, Muntaka Mubarak, it's maybe Atofosin himself perhaps staying in Parliament. So the names are all over, but we have no indication. But we expect that getting a little later in the day, we will get to find out if the NDC will put out a statement announcing their new leadership. So, Faustina, that is the state of play in Parliament as we speak.
and will be in Parliament throughout the day until the 8th Parliament is dissolved. It's a good time to come back in the studio and speak to Clement, because my colleague just made a salient point there. We know the leadership of the minority in the 9th Parliament, which is Alexander Cantal Market. But for the super majority, the NDC side, they have a lot of names flying around. Who do you think is appropriate to lead the majority, the 9th Parliament?
Yeah, that's a difficult one to put a name to it. But what I know is that we need somebody who is a game player, a team player, who is collaborative, who can build consensus. So we need somebody like that to be able to lead this particular parliament. Because when political parties get overwhelming majority, they tend to take the House for granted. And they do not build the consensus that they are supposed to build, because they know that without the minority, they can still go about and do their businesses. But by the time they finish their first term, they realize that they have done themselves a lot of harm. So I am thinking that the NDC should be responsible with their majority and get somebody who is a team player who can build consensus. The good old professor was talking about this 8th Parliament, superintending over a lot of debt and the economy and all that. And I have to differ with him slightly, because a lot of the challenges we are having in the economy actually got its antecedent from the previous Parliament, which was the 7th Parliament, which was also a majority Parliament for the ruling government. Therefore, a lot of the things that they brought to Parliament was just rubber stamped, was just going through Parliament. If it had not been for this 8th Parliament, we would have been at a worse position at this time in our economy, because a lot of things would have gone through. But this Parliament actually was able to stop, or to actually stop the appetite of even the government thinking about bringing some things to Parliament. And a case in point is the tax waiver and all those things that they wanted to push, that this Parliament actually refused. So we are thinking that now that we are getting into this particular 9th Parliament, where the NDC is having an overwhelming majority, they have to be very, very careful, get somebody who can build consensus, and also be listening majority, so that they will not fall into the same pitfall as the outgoing government. And finally, to add to that, I would say that the minority, which is the NPP, must also start building alliances. We can't afford to lose them in the dynamics in Parliament. Even though their numbers are not too huge, they must not lose the fight in Parliament. And if they will not lose the fight in Parliament, they must build strategic alliances with the media and with civil society to be able to push out their views concerning government policies and all that. We heard something from the outgoing First Deputy Speaker when he was canvassing for support for the minority leader, that is Afenyo Makin, and he was saying that they have to be combative so that their voice will be heard. We don't think that they have to be combative. They have to come to the table with alternatives, not just being combative and being disruptive at government business, but come to the table with constructive analysis of issues and alternative policies. That will push us forward.
I'll come to Dr. Machi Boateng shortly, just to get his thoughts on how best the minority in the 9th Parliament can effectively do business and hold government accountable, seeing the numbers that the majority hold. But let me bring in Franklin Kujo. We're seeing a lot of experienced hands leaving Parliament. The likes of K.T. Hammonds, the likes of Kennedy Japan would be leaving Parliament. That is the 9th Parliament. And we're seeing lots of new faces, lots of young hands, the likes of Felix Kwasi-Ofosu, the likes of Edem Agbana would all be in the new Parliament, which is the 9th Parliament, Jerry Ahmed as well. So I'm wondering, how would the new faces impact policy making?
Well, to start off with, I think these are the people, the gentlemen you mentioned, and probably women as well, are very smart, and I suspect that they've been watching governance for a very long time, and they've been following parliamentary procedures, and so they'll be able to adapt. But that's what I'll say. But before I go on, though, I like to disagree with, sorry, the gentleman in the studio, I forgot his name.
Okay, Mr. Clement.
Clement, yes. You see, when Dr. Machi makes the point that the disappointment to the current parliament is also was also because it witnessed or it heralded the biggest economic failure, as in the economic mismanagement. I don't think you should, your report is unfounded. Because, when you say that this parliament rather did better, probably prevented a lot more worse things. What is worse than having a DDE? What is worse than having your country thrown out of the international market? It's never happened before, you understand? So what Dr. Machi is suggesting is that this parliament, even though it was a hung parliament, the majority, the leadership of the government, the secretary still had its way, because like it or not, there were house on the minority, they did whatever they could, but the executive continued to do what it wanted to do. And for the first time, we had an economy that was deranged, indebted, as never before. When was the last time people's savings were pickpocketed? Literally. No, it hasn't happened. So Dr. Machi is solid on that grounds, and I think the point you made is not entirely accurate, that this parliament prevented probably the worst of the last parliament. I mean, Chief, no, it's not true. Anyway, having said that, I think the point ought to be made that this coming parliament must learn, and I think on this I agree with Clement, that look, the fact that you have a supermajority doesn't mean that you are going to go it by yourself. You need an experienced person to shepherd the vote, if you like, the majority side. That must also be reaching out to other persons, other groups as well. But the whole idea is that if you have this type of power, Ghanaians aren't stupid. They are giving you this power because they want you to use it for good, greater good. They're not asking you to lord it over them. So if you come around and you still shepherd through all these tax exemptions, they push through all these kinds of bills that are not critically. Look, this is last parliament, You remember this parliament that went. Overnight, things were passed just anyhow. The Ministry of Lands and Forestry or whatever, this mining deal, they were just going to run it through parliament until we started stopping them in their tracks in some other ways. So, look, no one should take the Ghanaian for granted, even if the NDC had a total 270 MPs. We'll be watching keenly, and Ghanaians are now smart. They are watching keenly. And to Clement's credit as well, I think this whole cross-fertilization of ideas with the media, the society is critically important. And I think that way we would have built a very good country. So those coming in, I'm sure they've learned they're already learning. Yes, Parliament may be, some experienced hands may not be there, but like Dr. Machi really suggested, clearly speaking, even with the so-called experience, how did it end up as a country? But for Bagbin and co, even Parliament would have been disrespected, So, I mean, it is what it is, and we expect the best from them. We'll be watching keenly, and we'll be setting our sights clearly on what good governance should be about. Good economic governance.
Okay, thank you so much, Franklin. I have to come to Dr. Machi Boateng and just get his final thoughts. Looking at Parliament, knowing fully well that it's mostly a game of numbers, how effective will the minority be in the 9th Parliament when the NDC now have what many have described as a supermajority?
And procedures.
Doc, I'm told I don't have clear connection to you. You may have to reposition yourself, and then we'll just come to you. We're just getting his thoughts about the effectiveness of the upcoming Parliament, that we're looking at the effectiveness of the minority in the 9th Parliament. Whilst we work on the connection to Dr. Machi Boateng, a political scientist, let me come back in the studio and speak to Clement. We're seeing a lot of new faces in the 9th Parliament, and then we're seeing a lot of experienced hands leaving the 9th Parliament. How effective would that be?
The attrition rate in Parliament has always been an issue, and it continues to be an issue. I think this time is a bit pronounced. And those who are coming in are a bit new to the game. And some of the old ones, like Oseche Mesabosu, Jose Usu, and the likes, are leaving Parliament. But it still doesn't mean that this Parliament is going to be worse off, because people come in and they learn. Some learn quickly, some learn slowly. But we would wish that we had some of the experienced ones actually shepherding the system more.
Clement, stay with me. It's a good time to take them to Parliament. I'll come back to you so that you make that point, because the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, is addressing the media.
I'll give the person a prize. Vasco da Gama, particularly the meaning of da Gama. This one you should know, very simple. So let me thank you for making time to join us to commission the museum here in Parliament. As we gather today on this momentous occasion, we stand at the confluence of our nation's rich history and the vibrant future of our democracy. The commissioning of this museum presents us as a nation a unique opportunity to not only celebrate our past, but also envision the role of history in shaping our democratic journey. This museum stands as a testament to not only to the pillars of democracy.
Well, the Speaker of Parliament there, Alban Bagbin, commissioning a museum at Parliament. And we're looking forward to what name will pop up for the 9th Parliament as Speaker, because we know that the President-elect, John Mahama, still wants Alban Bagbin to be Speaker for the 9th Parliament. We'll discuss the dynamics and what this would mean as we wrap up the conversation here on Newsdesk. Just before we take a break, let me wrap up with Clement, because you were making a point. Quickly, let's do this in 1 minute.
Oh, okay.
Alban Bagbin as Speaker of the 9th Parliament, is that the right way to go?
Yes, we think that he's the best person trained with all the experience at this time to be able to handle the 9th Parliament, because he has done exceptionally well with the 8th Parliament. So the 9th Parliament will be a bonus for him to be able to handle that. We always say that Parliament is a technical place. So most of the time, technical places, you want people who have some experience to bring to the board. And Alban Bagbin is excellent for that.
Okay, that's how we wrap up the conversation here on Newsdesk. When we return, we'll bring you business updates. Please stay tuned in.
Welcome back to Business on Newsdesk. My name is Winston Taki, and to our first business story. The Bank of Ghana is projecting inflation to slow down significantly in the coming months to hit the much talked about single-digit target by the first quarter of next year. This is based on work done by the central bank over the past months to deal with excess liquidity, rising food prices, and cedi's depreciation. Dr. Ernest Addison is governor of the Bank of Ghana.
George, as I said, we have made a lot of progress from where we are coming from, given where the rate of inflation went. This year, we were expecting to make as much progress, getting inflation to 15% by the end of the year. We have had to revise that objective to around 18%, 18 plus or minus 2%. And now it looks like we are looking at landing on the outer bands, right? And I'm telling you that the reason why we have not stayed at the central point in 2024 are the special factors that are associated with an election year, including the fact that the currency depreciated at a faster rate than expected in the first half of this year. All of those reasons account for why we are around 23 instead of 18. Now, going forward, we are forecasting that we would see faster disinflation, meaning that maybe from 23, we should expect to reach 15. But this will be predicated on the policies that will be implemented in 2025. That's the point that I'm making.
Single digit, would that be possible?
Single digit is possible. We had single digit in this country in 2019, 2018, 2019. It was short-lived because we know what happened after 2019. It was short-lived. We had, by the time we got into 2020, you know, the coronavirus issue had come in. This all of a sudden got unhinged, and all the gains that we had made between 2017 and 2019 were sort of, you know, reversed with that impact of the pandemic.
That's all for business here on Newsdesk. My name is Winston Taki. Indeed, going back to Fosti, the year really began for us, but we're hoping to give our viewers the best of the bulletin going forward. Indeed, we are. And that's how we wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjohnwine.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Good morning.